Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point, AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk, the most feared, the most dangerous radio network in all of America. Talking about the debate coming up on Wednesday and the presidential campaign. Number to call if you want to join the program, 888-589-8840. Let's grab a call from David in Jackson County, Mississippi. David, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, I plan on watching the debate, and there's several things I'd like to hear Romney say, and it'd be nice for him to take a strong conservative stand on both the issue of being pro-life and also traditional marriage, keeping it like it's been for thousands of years and not changing the definition. So I hope he would do that instead of like he's done in the past and kind of either shy away from it or try to meet in the middle so he doesn't try to offend anybody. But a few other things would be is he needs to take a strong stand and keep talking about Medicare, even though the liberal media says he doesn't need to, that's hurting him when he does. But if he just points out, like I think it was Governor Christie this weekend on a different talk show host that he was on, Meet the Press and others, where just point out what Obama's been putting out there is a lie, that he's actually going to try to save Medicare and only change it for those that are younger, below the senior citizens, and Obama's saying it's going to change it or get rid of it altogether, but something has to happen or it's going to not have Medicare at all. So I hope he actually comes strong on that issue too. And then also it would be nice if he points out just the mess with the UN ambassador being killed and how it was a cover-up, and just stay strong with that, not to back down with it, and with Obama not wanting to meet or not meeting with Netanyahu, and his excuse and the liberal excuse was that then he'd have to meet with 10 other leaders, so he can come out strong and say, you elect me president, draw a line either 1 week or 1 month into my presidency, I will meet with Netanyahu, and if I need to, I'll meet with 10 other leaders too, because that's what I'm elected to do, is to meet with others instead of going off and campaigning like Obama was and just snubbing him. So this is a time where they do need to meet with the leaders, especially our friend and ally with Netanyahu. And finally, be nice if he talks about what you've been talking about in the last 20 minutes of the last hour, where point out that Obama is trying to buy people's votes. So, I mean, get that out there where it's not just on your show, but everyone needs to hear it.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate that call. You know, and speaking of entitlements, and what's going to be there for senior citizens, here's a piece in the New York Times. This is actually a couple of weeks ago. It kind of snuck under the radar, but a piece by Steve Ratner, who was Obama's first automobile czar. When Obama took over General Motors, made it into Government Motors, he put Steve Ratner in charge of GM, fired the CEO, put Steve Ratner in charge. The first thing Steve Ratner said, I mean, I'm serious. The first thing he said is, I don't know anything about building cars. I do not know thing one about building cars, and President Obama still put him in charge of GM. And here he wrote a piece as a former Obama czar, appeared in the New York Times, and here's how the column begins. We need death panels. First four words of his piece, New York Times, September 16, we need death panels. Then he goes on, well, maybe not death panels exactly, but unless we start allocating health care resources more prudently, rationing by its proper name, the exploding cost of Medicare will swamp the federal budget. And, of course, he's right about the fact that unless Medicare is reformed, it is going to swamp the federal budget. I mean, entitlement spending is on a schedule. It's on a glide path to consume 100% of federal tax revenues by 2050. And by 2050, we're going to be paying more in interest on the federal debt than we spend on national defense. National defense will be our lowest priority in the federal budget. Already 70% of federal spending, 70%, ladies and gentlemen, going to one entitlement program or another. I mean, it's just simply unsustainable. It just cannot continue. And the solution, according to Paul Ryan, is let's back the government out of all of this. Steve Ratner's solution, let's start killing people. I mean, that is Steve Ratner's solution to Medicare shortfall. Let's start killing people off. He says, in the pantheon of toxic issues, the famous third rails of American politics, none stands taller, listen to this, than overtly acknowledging that elderly Americans are not entitled to every conceivable medical procedure or pharmaceutical. So Steve Ratner saying what conservatives have been saying all the way along. Look, if Obamacare is allowed to be implemented, there is going to be this Independent Payment Advisory Board, IPAB, IPAB, 15 bureaucrats, not elected, they're appointed, but they literally are going to be making life and death decisions for people on Medicare. I saw a story today, it's somewhere here in the stack, about what's going to happen to knee replacements under Medicare with the way that Obama is going to gut Medicare. That's become one of those most popular and most helpful surgeries for seniors, but that's going to be severely restricted under Obama's version of Medicare. And here is Steve Ratner saying, look, we're going to have to start killing old people off. And we're going to have to start denying them certain medical procedures and certain pharmaceuticals. And he focuses on the last year of life. The big money in Medicare is found in reducing the cost of treating people in the last year of life, which consumes more than a quarter of the program's budget. Okay, fine. How do you know when somebody's got a year to live? I mean, people do not come with a built-in timer. They don't come with some kind of built-in calendar program that tells you when their last day on earth is going to be. Now, God's got one of those. But other than on rare occasions, he's not shared with us how many days are in the book that he's written for each one of us. He knows what it is, but we don't. And so Steve Ratner says, well, I guess we're just going to have to guess. You know, we think you're past your freshness date. You know, somebody came in to my office today to borrow some Triscuits. I have Triscuits in my office for when I have soup, which I don't have very often, so the Triscuits will sit in there for a while. I think the freshness date on the Triscuits is like March of 2012, so a little past their freshness date. But it's like, and you know, so it's like Ratner saying, well, if these senior citizens get past their freshness date, we make a decision, we make a best guess that they're in the last year of life, then they're not getting any more money. And he cites favorably the country of Britain. Take Britain, which provides universal health coverage. Its National Institute for Health and Clinical Excellence uses a complex quality-adjusted life year system to put an explicit value up to about $48,000 per year on a treatment's ability to extend life. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need to back the government out of all this. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to afford every procedure they want. People have different levels of income, and that means that not everybody is simply in a realistic world going to be able to get exactly the same health care that everybody else gets. That's one of the reasons why you want to work hard, why you want to save, why you want to prepare for your future. That's part of the incentive. So if you have some unusual health care needs toward the end of your life, you've got a way. You've made preparations for that. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's going to have the resources necessary to do it. But see, that decision needs to be between you, your family, and your doctor. Now, Steve Ratner, Barack Obama, says, no, that's not your decision. You don't get to decide whether you get that treatment, whether you get the surgery, whether you get the pill. We are going to decide that. This independent board of bureaucrats, 15 people sitting in a cubicle or a conference room in Washington, D.C., they are going to decide whether you as an elderly person or whether your parents as elderly people are going to live or are going to die. And you'd like to see Mitt Romney make more of an issue of this, but the problem is Romney Care has not reduced health care costs in Massachusetts. Big problem for him. Focal Point, AFR Talk.